Hello, it's Jim Hutchens for the Jerusalem Connection Truth Report for this week. We're going through the book of Romans 9 through 11, and we're doing that because this is God's final statement, actually definitive statement with regard to Israel and the Jews. And we're doing it to counter the heresy of Palestinian replacement theology. We've referred to Dr. Gary Burge at Wheaton College, who espouses this. He would not say he subscribes to supersessionism, but what he does subscribe to is a distinction that has no difference. We're in Romans chapter 10, first 4 verses. Let me read them. Paul says, "Brothers, my heart's desire and my prayer to God for the Israelites that they may be saved." Here's the anguish, the burden of the apostle, that the Israelites might be saved. "For I can testify about them that they are zealous for God, but their zeal is not based on knowledge." Now he's speaking of the Jews of his day as well as the Jews of now, of today, by and large, who've not turned to their Messiah. "Since they did not know the righteousness that comes from God and sought to establish their own, they did not submit to God's righteousness. Christ is the end of the law so that there may be righteousness for everyone who believes." Jesus, who had no sin, who did no sin, became sin for us that we might become the righteousness of God in him. That's where the righteousness of God comes, not from keeping the law. No one has kept the law. Only Jesus. Now, there are those among these who subscribe to Palestinian replacement theology who say that the Jews, the secular Jews, and Israel is a secular state, a politically established secular state, and they say that because that's the case, that they're not in a covenant relationship with God. Let me read a statement by the beloved former pastor of Bethlehem Baptist Church in Minneapolis, Dr. John Piper. In an article in World Magazine in 2002, Dr. Piper said this: "A non-covenant keeping people does not have a divine right to the present possession of the land of promise. Both the experience of divine blessing and the habitation of the land are conditional on Israel's keeping the covenant God made with her." Just a word about that covenant that God made with Abraham. Genesis chapter 15, chapter 17. Abraham was asleep when God made that covenant with him. So the only one who was really committed to that covenant was God. And he has committed himself to keep that covenant forever. Now, who owns the land? That's the issue. And I want to turn to Leviticus chapter 25, verse 23. "The land must not be sold," Yahweh says. It must not be sold permanently, because the land is mine. Yahweh says, "The land is mine, and you are but aliens and my tenants." God owns the land, but he says the Jews are to be his tenants. But he has certain behavioral standards that his tenants must keep, and if they don't keep it, he tosses them out. That's exactly what happened. They've been dispersed in the diaspora since AD 70. But in 1948, God brought them back. Are they now in covenant position with God? Not necessarily. There are many Jews who have turned to the Messiah. The vast majority throughout the world have not. But let me read you a statement from Ezekiel 36 that I think is very relevant to our discussion here. Ezekiel 36, the prophet says in verse 21, "I had concern for my holy name, which the house of Israel profaned among the nations where they had gone." He had concern. He has concern about his holy name. The house of Israel, the Jews, have profaned. He uses this term profaned 5 times in a matter of about 8 or 10 verses. What does profane mean? It means to desecrate. It means to blaspheme, to abuse, to show irreverence or contempt. Here's some synonyms: to abase, to bastardize, to cheapen, corrupt, debauch, degrade, demoralize, pervert, poison, to debase, to prostitute, subvert, vitiate, to warp. That's what God says that the Israelites, the Jews, have done to his name. And now notice what he says he's going to do. Therefore say to the house of Israel, this is what Yahweh says. It is not for your sake, O house of Israel, that I'm going to do these things, but for the sake of my holy name, which you have profaned among the nations where you have gone. I will show the holiness of my great name, which you have profaned among the nations, the name you have profaned among them. Profane is just jumping out of the pages there. And then the nations will know that I am Yahweh, declares Yahweh, when I show myself holy through you before their eyes. And here's what I'm going to do. While you're in that state, that profane, non-covenant keeping state, here's what I'm going to do. I will take you out of the nations. I will gather you from all the countries, bring you back into your own land. I will sprinkle clean water on you. You will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your impurities and from all your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. The sequence of events is to bring a profane people back to the land in a profane state, in a secular state. And then spiritual renewal takes place. And this is what he said. You will live in the land I gave your forefathers. You will be my people, and I will be your God. They've not attained righteousness by keeping the law. That comes only through Jesus. Jesus became sin for us who knew no sin, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. That's by faith, not by works. But God says this, I'm going to do a work. I'll give you a new heart. I'll put a new spirit within you. You will live in the land I gave your fathers. You will be my people, and I will be your God. And that's the truth.